I bought this $50 gaming PC thinking I had just scored an insane deal. But what I didn't know was that behind those discount listings, I was walking straight into a trap. A system filled with leftover dangerous viruses. Getting this PC to a usable state was a struggle. I had to fight through malware, remove parts, and undo a mess left behind by the previous owner just to make it function normally. So why did I buy it in the first place? Simple. It was cheap, and the internal hardware looked way too good to ignore. But as we all know, cheap tech always comes with risks. So how dangerous was this PC really? And what kind of damage did it actually cause? Let's find out. All right, here we go. A complete desktop PC that I bought for $50. And yes, the seller actually listed it as a gaming PC, which already sounds suspicious. I mean, just look at it. The outside is painfully boring. It looks like a generic office PC you'd find under a dusty desk at a bank. But hey, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Trust me, the inside is worse. Oh my god, a low-profile GPU? The moment I saw it, one thought popped into my head. This thing is for display output, not gaming. And sure enough, it's a GT 730, but here's the twist. 4 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, not the usual 2 gigabytes version. Sounds good on paper, until you realize it's DDR3, not GDDR5. So, performance-wise, pretty much the same as the 2 gigabytes version, maybe worse in some cases. After digging around a bit, it turns out this is one of those GT 730 rebuilt by certain manufacturers in China, basically slapping an extra 2 gigabytes of RAM onto an already weak GPU. And honestly, I have no idea why anyone would do this. More RAM doesn't magically fix a weak core. If anything, I'd rather see higher clocks than extra memory this card can't even use properly. Next up, the RAM. It's running a single 8GB DDR4 stick, which honestly is the bare minimum if you want to play games in 2026. It definitely doesn't look brand new. You can tell it's been through a previous relationship or two. But hey, as long as it works, I'm not complaining. Cooling? As basic as it gets. Just the stock CPU cooler. No RGB, no heat pipes, no personality. Functional, boring, exactly what you'd expect at this price point. Now, what about the CPU? Alright, moment of truth. This legendary $50 gaming PC is about to wake up. If it screams, glitches, or somehow triggers the end of civilization, you'll see it live. Okay, fans are spinning. It's alive, which is either a very good sign or the opening scene of a horror movie. It booted into Windows surprisingly fast, and then things got weird. Like, really weird. I've never seen anything like this before. The login screen alone was a red flag. The account name looked unsettling, and on the left side there were multiple other accounts, all named with strange symbols. Every single one of them required a password. So I tried typing numbers. Nothing. My number keys were disabled. I could only type letters. At that point, I was completely locked out, but also way too curious to stop. I had to see what was going on inside this thing. Luckily, I found someone online who had run into the exact same situation before, and they shared the password. The password was death. Yeah, not ominous at all. I typed it in, and somehow, it worked. I was in. The desktop loaded with a blood-red wallpaper, and the system was absolutely flooded with junk files. The mouse felt broken, right-click didn't work, and everything was painfully sluggish. It genuinely felt like the OS was fighting me. Then I finally realized what was happening. This thing had swapped left-click and right-click. No joke. That alone explained half the madness. Out of curiosity, I opened a random file in Notepad, and that's when I saw this. Your computer is mine. You cannot get rid of this malware. Yeah, nope, I am not living with this thing. So, what is this thing exactly? This is no escape malware, a seriously nasty piece of ransomware. Once it infects a system, it locks you out, messes with core OS functions, encrypts files, and does everything it can to make sure you're not in control anymore. Quick but important warning, do not connect this system to the internet. If you do, you risk the malware spreading to other machines or sending data straight out. This stays offline, no exceptions. Naturally, my next thought was, okay, can I just nuke it with antivirus? So I tried that. I brought in Avast 1 Basic, but installed it offline from a USB drive. No network connection, no downloads, no chances taken. At this point, I was genuinely worried about personal data getting leaked. And honestly, I was kind of excited. I wanted to see a free antivirus heroically clean up this nightmare. Yeah, that didn't happen. After installing Avast, I couldn't actually use it. The OS straight up refused to cooperate. Buttons wouldn't respond, features were locked out. It was like the malware was sitting there saying, "Nice try. You don't get to do that." That's when it hit me. I had seriously underestimated how deep this thing had its claws in the system. This wasn't just malware, this was malware in charge. Alright, at this point it was clear I needed a more reliable solution. I could keep fighting this malware by following step-by-step removal guides, and yeah, I actually did manage to remove it that way. But it was slow, messy, and honestly not worth it. Especially since this PC didn't have any important data on it to begin with. So I went with the nuclear option. I wiped the drive and reinstalled Windows from scratch. And honestly, for situations like this, that's still the most effective way to completely get rid of deeply embedded malware. No leftovers, no weird behavior, just a clean slate. The reinstall did take a while though, and I'm not about to make you sit through a Windows loading bar for 20 minutes. So we're skipping that part. And just like that, fresh Windows install, clean drive, no pop-ups, no lockouts, no creepy messages. For the first time since I powered this thing on, the system was actually usable again. After double-checking the system, the scan came back clean. No malware, no warnings, everything looked good. That meant I could finally reconnect to the internet and plug in my other drives without worrying about my data getting nuked. But I do want to point out one important thing. I can't be 100% sure that the USB drive I used during this whole process stayed clean. Once you plug a USB into a system that was infected, even briefly, there's always a chance it picks something up. So instead of taking any risks, I did the smartest thing possible. I retired that USB for good. It's now permanently banished, far away from my other computers. Sometimes the safest move isn't fixing something, it's knowing when to let it go. Inside, you'll find an Intel Core i3-9100F. Even though it's a 9th gen CPU in terms of multi-core performance, it's honestly only on par with a decent 4th gen chip, mainly because it's limited to just 4 cores and 4 threads. No hyperthreading, no magic there. But where this CPU actually shines is single-core performance. With boost clocks up to 4.2 GHz, it's surprisingly snappy, and that really helps in games, especially older titles or esports games that care more about single-thread speed than core count. So yeah, not a multitasking monster, but for gaming, it still punches above what you'd expect. Alright, let's jump into some quick benchmarks. Minecraft first, 1080p with a 32 chunk render distance. We're only getting around 40 FPS. Dropping it down to 8 chunks nearly doubles the FPS, but the bottleneck is obvious. The GT 734GB is holding everything back, not the CPU. CS2 next, and yeah, this is rough. The CPU is chilling at around 40% usage, while the GPU is absolutely pinned at 100% the entire time. FPS hovers around 25 with noticeable stuttering. Definitely not a great experience. In Tomb Raider 1080p on low settings, we're seeing about 30 FPS. Honestly, this feels very GPU limited. With a better graphics card, this system could clearly do more. GTA 5 is even tougher. I had to drop the resolution down to 720p just to make it somewhat playable, and even then, around 20 FPS is a stretch. Let's be real, not many people would call that smooth. Valorant is where things finally look a bit better. Since it leans more on the CPU, performance improves to around 70 FPS, but the GPU is still maxed out at 100%. This just proves one thing. Even with 4GB of VRAM, the GT 730 is still an old, weak GPU that doesn't age well. Final thoughts. This so-called $50 gaming PC was honestly one of the strangest and sketchiest systems I've ever tested. Between the terrible GPU performance and the malware nightmare earlier, this was not a fun surprise. So please be careful when buying ultra-cheap PC, especially from questionable sellers, and most importantly, do not connect them to the internet right away. You never know what's lurking inside. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. This case is actually going to my little sister. She's about to start middle school, and for basic stuff, it'll do just fine. I'll see you guys in the next video.